Welcome back to Down in the Den. You know who it is. It's your host, Mars, aka Marlon Beardo, the Bearded Weirdo, the Stella Rosa Casanova, and the curator of culture. And we are back again, batting 1000, one of the most talented guests, artists, and entertainers in the industry. And today is no different. This gentleman is a very talented writer, rapper, artist, creative, you name it, he does it. He's amazing, and I am proud to introduce the one, the only Jarmar Green. Brother, how are you doing
Hey,
today? How are you doing this afternoon?
what's good, Mars? Thank you so much for having me out, man. It's a beautiful day, man. I'm Midwestern boy here, so usually it's rainy and dark and gloomy, but today the sun is out and I can't complain, man. I got off work early just for this, and that was my reason to shut the laptop down.
Oh man, that's a win in the wind. We're here on the East Coast, and the weather is absolutely amazing. No pollen, so
Oh yeah,
I
that's good. You can breathe.
yeah, I can actually have some lung strength today. So I don't have my car's a normal color instead of green. So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, man. But I appreciate you
Absolutely.
taking the time out. I know you're busy, so we're gonna get right into it and talk about some music. So one thing that we begin every single episode with, we I grew up with two things that were key to me in my life: hip hop and comic books. That was pretty much it. And one thing that I've noticed in both, every artist, every superhero has an origin story. It has something that triggered to say, you know what, I'm going on this path of being a creative. So my question for you, what's your origin story? What turned you on to say, you know what, this is the life I chose, or the life chose me, as some will say, and this is the path I want to go down.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question and wonderful start to an amazing conversation. So, origin story to me was, let me take it back because my first instrument I got was the clarinet. I wanted to join the high school, I wanted to join my school's band. I didn't care what I played. I wanted to play drums, right? I wasn't coordinated enough for drums. The teacher told me to tap on my legs and shit. And I was like, man, I'm not coordinated for this thing. He was like, hey, you can play this instrument. It was like the trumpet or the clarinet or the flute or something like that. And I was like, okay, I picked the clarinet, right? So I started learning that, and I was like, man, I'm all right. I can read music. This is cool, but clarinet doesn't seem very much, I can express myself well, right? So like sooner or later, my grandmother got me a guitar, and I loved playing guitar. If you actually see behind me, I got a headless 7 string
Let's
guitar.
see right there.
That's my baby. Like it's anyway. We'll get to that, but the guitar was something that I can kind of learn. Like there were some songs out there that were like rock, heavy metal that my cousins showed me and was like, listen to this. And I was like, oh, I want to play that on guitar. So that's what was like got me into like playing music, right? So I wanted to play guitar. I played the clarinet in the past, but the guitar was something that I took for myself. It wasn't going to school for it. It was I went to YouTube or picked up some tab books or something like that to learn how to play guitar, right? Lo and behold, I got into a band at the end of my high school. At the end of high school, I got into a band. We started doing a whole bunch of music, writing albums, doing mini tours in the Midwest here, doing shows every weekend. Some places told us you play too much here, but like we were doing that. That was the fun that we were having, right? But the whole idea of managing not only the music, writing the music, but for other people. Like a band takes a lot of
Yeah.
the time and effort, not just for the music, but the merch, the equipment, the personalities, all of that. Whew, that was a job by itself. Plus, I was working. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, man, to do music, I have to do a lot of it. It takes a lot of energy to do this music. So when I found like a couple of my friends were making beats and shout out to C Dab and shout out to John Schillinger. Those two people, I always talked about those people in my interviews because those are the people who got me into my conversion from my transition from like metal music, rock music to like hip hop, right? So they were making beats and I was loving what they were making, and I was like, oh, so you just talk over this? And boom, they were there for my transition. And then from there on, like that was the ideal way for me to be able to be creative, one to two other people, whether they're producers or beat makers, and that's it. And then boom, I just run with the beat. I run with what I want to say over that beat, and it's been just a joyride since then. Like taking all the stresses. Now I still play guitar and everything like that, but man, the stress out of having like four other personalities and having to write a lot of different music, having to take that music and do it on the metronome was hard on itself. It's easy to like talk on beat, but when you're playing guitar, 7 strings, different time signatures, different like transitions inside the music and everything, you can get pretty hard. And oh man, day after day, year after year, I was like, whew, this is aging me. So let me go to a music that's more myself and I can do a little bit more on my own.
I think there's a reason your favorite rock bands don't really last, or they have multiple members, and then like you said, anytime, even amongst friends, when you have 4 different personas, it's magic. Unless of course, there's some that probably hate each other, but the chat's so good that
yeah. Sometimes the music outweighed the personalities. Like, okay, we play good music to each other, but we don't have to like each other.
Exactly.
Which is not healthy. That's not healthy.
Not healthy at all. Not mentally. We're all about mental. It's Mental Health Month for men, so it's not the path. Don't sacrifice your soul just to make good music.
Hey, but shout out all the men who's out there talking about what's going on in their life to get that shit off their shoulders, because that needs to happen more.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier offline before we started recording that you're from the Midwest, and coming from the Midwest, I always say, especially with hip hop, there are certain cities that are hubs. Everybody knows New York, where it created. Then in the 90s, it was Los Angeles. Yep. And then from probably 2002 to today, Atlanta's had a chokehold.
Oh, yeah.
You also have, Chicago, Detroit, each city unique, each different. The styles from there are very specific. And of course, you have anomalies that are different. But for the most part, where you grow up, where you're from, it's going to influence you. So coming from the Midwest, how does that shape your sound and your lyrical approach? And do you feel that you're representing the scene that may be under the radar?
Oh, man, beautiful question. So Naptown, once again, I like to call Indianapolis a melting pot. It's called the Crossroads of America for a reason. Like there's a lot of people who are from Indianapolis, but there's a lot more people who are just traveling through, who's spending a lot of time here that didn't really want to end up here, but they are here. And Indianapolis is a huge city. It's not the last. It's like number 13 to 16, one of those numbers in between there, right? So like it has a big population, but it does get looked over because Chicago's so close, Detroit's so close, you know what I'm saying, like that. But even those elements, you see them here. You see them in Indiana. You see them in Indianapolis. So, like, I think I have a approach to music that's very, very different than most. Like, I'm a metal band, liked rock music growing up. I fucking skateboarded, played a bunch of video games, right? So my influences were just shot. But don't get it twisted. My first CD was Easy Does It and NWA Greatest Hits. It was like a 2-pack CD my mom got me. Can you believe that? But like, I would listen to that. But hey, I would go to like Walmart before they stopped all
and they
like
censored.
Before when they stopped, I would get like bands like Puddle of Mud. People never heard of that, but that was like not heard of for kids. You can't listen to that as a kid. But I was thinking about that because I bought that CD and hid it from my mom under a driver's seat for like a week. But nonetheless, that growing up, and then not to mention all my friends that I've grown up here, people who are still here. I made a trademark here where like I know a lot of people. Like, they've influenced me the most. Like all my beats. If I'm not meeting somebody like from the internet to get beats from, like my beats are coming from people I know and grew up with here. So I'm taking their sight and their envision of what good music is, and I'm clashing it with mine. So I have no choice but to be where I'm from and the people I work
truly
from.
homegrown.
That's all, and that's full homegrown. I've traveled the world. I've gone West Coast. I've barely done East Coast. I've done a lot of like mountain climbing and shit like that, and I've been able to understand a little bit and talk to people outside of my comfort zone here in Indianapolis. And I can tell you, like, I am different. I'm definitely different. There's not another Jarmar Green out there, and the background and the people here that I've came across and their sound and so unique. Naptown has its own sound. Don't get it. The crossroads of America and the melting pot that's here. It has a distinct sound, and hey, it's finally getting noticed because the Pacers are doing good. So Indiana,
shout out to the Pacers.
Yeah, shout out to the Pacers.
Shout out to the Pacers.
I think, man, my sound, when I talk about my ethnicity, is all Naptown. It's all here. Born and raised here. You ain't gonna find nothing that I do that's going to be switched up from another area. No, Naptown, born and raised, and that's all you get. I mean, 30 plus years here. That's all I know.
That's all you know. True representative. So shout out to Naptown. Great answer. Now, you mentioned you are. And shout out to Puddle of Mud and the new metal. I like you. I grew up in the 90s. I'm a bit older. I grew up in the 90s. And, my father, when he came back from Vietnam, he had all these records on 45s. And so I was a little baby, and he would quiz me. So he would put it on, and he's like, "Who's this?" And I'm like, "White band." He's like, "All right, who's this?" I'm like, "Queen." Like, "Who's this?" Stevie Wonder. "Who's this? Who's this? Who's this?" So, and then my brother, who was 10 years older than me, straight hip hop. So I tell people I didn't get an opportunity to do Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round. Like, Life is Too Short was the first song I can remember. By Too Short. That's the very first song I can remember. And I was maybe 3 years old. And my brother was putting this on, like, yeah, this is what you're going to listen to. and then I grew up when Beavis and Butthead were popular. And all they did was watch rock videos. So that would make me go back. And then, of course, the new metal with your Puddles of Mud and your Limp Bizkits and your
Linkin Park and stuff like that.
Linkin Park, Korn, so all of those influences. And then I like pop music. So, New Editions, even NSYNC, I was loving it all. I always tell people,
kidding me? Those groups had, before where streaming music is now, right? You can get a song that's made out of somebody's garage, somebody's closet, and it'll blow up, right? Depending on the angle and algorithm. But back then, those people had us in a chokehold. We wouldn't even need music, and we would be whispering that stuff to ourselves, like all those Britney Spears songs, all those Benson songs, Backstreet Boys songs. Like hooks wouldn't be hooks where they're at now if it wasn't for those type of things.
Shout out to Max Martin and the Swedish sound. Those who know it really shaped the generation.
Oh yeah, they did a good job. We did better, but they did a good job too.
They did a good job for sure. Now, I used to, before I went on the media side, I still produce a little bit. Older to Cracker, available streaming on all platforms by my boy Johnny Raps, produced entirely by me. But I'm more of a media, I'm more of the industry type, because even though I don't believe music has an age, they got to a point where hip hop was so very counterintuitive of who I was as a person. Mm-hmm. So while I listened to it, I didn't feel comfortable creating it. With all artists, I'm very interested in their creative process. So you mentioned that all your production, homegrown, local. Are you a write the lyrics first type of person and then choose the production, or are you inspired by the music and you let that take you on a journey?
I am very, very inspired by what I'm listening to in that moment. So I'll take beats, like, for instance, shout out to recent two producers I've been working with recently, Midway Boy from Russia. Check that out. On the internet, we collabed. And then 1-7 out in Philly. From the internet, we collabed, right? Just random conversations I have off Instagram. These are two sources that have been sending me beats just whenever I want. And oh my God, they've sent me such a wide variety. And I gotta hand it out to beat makers because they can take any sounds that you will literally forget about and orchestrate it into a beat. And every beat maker, that's a skill to be able to layer sounds to make it sound good. Way harder than lyric writing. Way harder than lyric writing, right? So shout out to my producer, shout out to DP the producer, shout out to Mountain Jack, shout out to everybody I get my beats from. I can't even think about them, but like everybody. But when I get a beat, man, I sit there. Some people take hours. I sit there and I just hum over it, get the inspiration. What part of my life fits in this? Like, am I angry? Am I happy? Do I need to teach a lesson? Do I need to be taught a lesson? Do I need to, those are those questions I ask myself before getting into the writing phase. And as I'm sitting there, I'll do like some punch in stuff, some noises over it, and try to get like a good melody cadence.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'll tell my story, then make it rhyme. The whole Kanye West thing, like the whole Kanye West teaching. Tell the story and then make it rhyme. That's what I do. And sometimes I punch in and I say something clever and I write it down. Sometimes I write it down and then say it how I want to say it, right? So it's very, very intuitive. But I don't. One thing I tell you all, no matter what age you get into this, don't go to that studio and pay hourly when you can pay the same amount for 1 day of recording and get it at your house. Because at the end of the day, mixing and mastering is where the magic happens, right? So the engineer is just going to need your recordings, the beat, and things upon that nature. But don't go pay hourly when you can get your setup at home and learn from YouTube, right? Just do that. Anyway, but I take the beat, I get the idea, I punch in if I need to get a good melody, to get a good cadence, but I write, and then sometimes I write, and then I punch in to make sure I'm selling it right. I'm selling it right? Because every song you're selling what you're saying on that beat. And everything is, to me, is true to heart. So I'm selling myself and making sure it's true to me, what I'm saying.
You dropped the gem there, and like I said, our show D.E.N is an acronym. It stands for Dreams and Nightmares. So when we started this platform, I was completely working a 9 to 5, and it was just sucking the life out of me because I'm a natural born creative, but I'm an orator. And if you can talk, you can convince anybody. So somehow they decided to give me a job doing what I'm doing in corporate America, but there was no passion about it. I was good at it, but no passion. And this is my passion project, building the community, trying to shape music the way that I envision it, because there's so much beauty out there and there's so much trash out there, but the trash tends to float to the surface because there's not enough platforms for people to highlight artists like yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And the gem that you dropped that I want the Den mates and the friends of the Den that are listening is to take the time and invest in yourself. And learn. I started making beats 3 years ago, and I already have an album out. And my very first beat is somewhere on SoundCloud, and it was horrible. When you listen to your first stuff, it's gonna be horrible. It's gonna be and you're gonna be like, I can't believe I put this out. But you're gonna learn from those mistakes quicker than you're gonna learn. Learn your craft, learn about songwriting, and I'm old school. I had to grow up with a Dewey Decimal System. You don't even have to go to college now. All you have to do is type in Google, YouTube, and you can get a extensive education on whatever you want to do. So
everything.
I'm not going to say go to school, but I am going to say educate yourself.
Educate yourself. And educate yourself while you're in school. If you're in school,
while you're at work, while you're whatever, you can do
everything.
Absolutely. Now, what's your future vision? You evolved from a band doing metal to mastering hip hop. You're an artist. I think you made the good decision, because guitar's a little bit sexier than clarinet. Although there's going to be a dope clarinet artist one day. I don't know if it's going to be my lifetime. But
Yeah, there's some amazing clarinet artists for sure.
absolutely, for sure. It's just, the ladies like the good
Yeah,
guitar player versus, I,
absolutely.
I think if Slash had the clarinet, it might have been a different story.
Yeah, could you imagine? Hey, hey, there's some jazz bands out there that go crazy on the
Oh, they
clarinet.
go crazy.
Yeah.
They go crazy for
Sweating
sure.
and everything. I'm like, okay.
Absolutely. Looking back, what would your younger self just discovering music be surprised to hear about your current journey?
Dang, all the work I have out, like I would say, um, some years it may be only one project, but some years it may be two projects. But I'm consistently looking back, like, dang, I've kept up with the drops, like, and I still got a lot to say. So I'm like, damn, I can keep this shit going, no problem. But at the same time, like back then, don't be so self conscious. Get that shit out. I would have. There were some times where I was working on one project, a collection of 3, 4 songs for like months, maybe a year at a time, waiting to hear back from producers, waiting to hear back from making sure the lyrics are right, making sure being self caught up in my head. Is this the right time to release it? Man, I should. That's one thing I would tell my younger self is to, don't worry about it. Put that shit on there and record that shit. Get the ad libs out. Make sure you can bump it in your head. Make sure it sounds in your car and get that shit out. Because at the end of the day, it is quality over quantity always, but you got to have quantity there. And what did Lil B say? Shout out to the bass guy. He
Praise
was like,
God.
you ain't no real rapper if you ain't write 1,000 songs. I ain't got nowhere near 1,000 songs, but I just gotta tell myself to keep writing, right?
I mean, it goes back to the Mamba mentality. There's some people
Right.
that I look at that, I call it Dr. Dre syndrome.
Mhm.
They said he has a vault, but he's so hard on himself that we'll never hear it. And 99% of the universe is like, oh my God, this is amazing. But
Mhm.
he's so critical. So I tell you, yes, quality is key, but you're absolutely right. You got to take those shots, and those songs are going to be new to someone.
To
There's no,
somebody.
it does not inspire. There's people being born every minute. There's someone that's going to find that song and it's going to do something for them. So once again,
Exactly.
another
Exactly.
another gem. So Jarmar, I could do this all day. I could do this all day. It's been an absolute pleasure
Yeah.
talking the craft, talking music, learning a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
I want you to let people know exactly where they can find you on social media and exactly where they can find your art.
Yeah, absolutely. Mars, thank you so much for the platform. This has
Of course.
just been a beautiful experience. And I'll leave the people with a couple of things. One, where you can find me, it's always BLK Bullet, Black Bullet X on Instagram. If you Google that, you'll find me. If you Google Jarmar Green, JARMAR Green, like the color, you'll find me. I'm very, very, very easy to get a hold of. I'm always there. Shit, I'll play a virtual show. I'll get on here and start rapping if you want me to. I love doing that stuff. I love interacting. I love talking. And I'll leave one good gem I leave in every podcast I do is always control what you can control, right?
Mm,
Every day we always get into moments where it could be uncomfortable, it could be great moments, it could be uncertain moments. But if you are always controlling what you can control, all those moments will be easier, whether it's happier, even happier moments will get better. You know what I'm saying? The lower moments will just be understanding that you have everything that you can in control, and just keep it moving day by day, and always working yourself and always investing yourself. To all the D.E.N people out there, you guys are with a good host. Mars knows what he's talking about and highlights some good stuff, man.
message. Well, Jarmar, I appreciate you. You drop more gems than the jewelry store. So I hope you guys pick those rubies and emeralds up and
Yeah,
incorporate them into your life,
yeah,
incorporate them into your art, because those are fantastic messages. Brother, once again,
absolutely,
it's been a pleasure. You always have a home here in the Den. Whenever you have anything to promote, anything coming out, just give us a holler and we'll make sure that we roll out the red carpet for you. I'm going to
absolutely.
continue to support. And you know what we do? We always like to support the artists that come and share their stories. So we got the secret word. The first person when this episode drops to put this in the chat, we're gonna get you some I'm gonna, either sing you some music, sing you some Down and Den merch. You could get a lovely mug like this.
Ooh.
On the mug, we got shirts, we got hats, we got everything. So the secret word right here, new metal. The first person that types that in the chat, we're gonna get you something. We're gonna make sure that we send you something, to really introduce you into Jarmar and what he's got going on. But brother, once
Absolutely.
I thank you so much for dropping by, coming in, and sharing your story. It's fantastic. Dom, thank you again for hooking this up, brother.
Absolutely.
And
Shout out to Dom, man.
shout out to the big guy. And we're going to end this episode like we end every single episode. It's about peace, love, unity, and respect. Deuces.